Welcome to the Wire First English podcast. We have with us Ali Chishti, who is the editor in chief of the Wire Pakistan and expert on geopolitical sciences. We'll discuss the Bangladesh scenario with him and ask him about the current scenario and the future prospect as well. Ali, over to you, please.
So it's been a pretty exciting happenings in Bangladesh. We've been, watching them since last 2 weeks, and God, every day has been a different thing. I want to congratulate everyone for our English channel. We've just started it. This
Thank
is the
you.
first of many endeavors which will be taking it out, bringing you global and regional perspective from Pakistan's point of view. Today, it is about former East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh. We've actually made a presentation. We'll be doing analysis in two different aspects. A, from a Pakistani point of view, and from geopolitical angle, and then we look at the political angle. Just to remind our audience as to, at this moment, Mohammad Yunus, who was a winner of Peace Prize, founder of Grameen Bank, has taken over as interim advisor and caretaker of Bangladesh, where he's installed a cabinet which has students and neutral people in it. Would be running transit and would create a transitory government in some times to come. So a lot of things which is happening. So let's look at what is actually happening in Bangladesh from a timeline perspective. So what really has happened in Bangladesh has happened in last 2 weeks. So just to give you a background, Hasina Wajid from the Awami League has won elections for, and she's been ruling for 15 years. She's won a landslide victory, which was obviously rigged. And according to most of the analysts and people on ground in opposition, she was in power. And what eventually happened to her was a dictator of sort, a democratic dictator, and was um, had to be thrown out of the country. So it actually started from a student protest starting from July 2nd in Bangladesh. It was it was about quota systems. Where quotas were special. Quotas is basically special treatment of preference to Awami League, or people who have actually fought the independence war in 1971 against Pakistan, which was initially given to these people who have fought them. Then it was extended to the children and to the grandchildren, and apparently and the quota limit was increased from 15 to 45%, and that created this rights in Bangladesh. So it started from the 2nd of July, and if you look at 2820 from last 2 weeks, they've killed 250 people in this protest. Out of these, 200 of them are students. So abuse of power from the civilian government, from Hasina Wajid's government against students, and that's what created the mess. Eventually, she was um, on the on the 5th of August. She was actually forced to resign, and she had to move to India. So there's this geopolitical aspect to what has happened in Bangladesh. If you just first look at the map, it'd be very easy for you to understand. Bangladesh is actually landlocked between China and India.
Okay.
And there's this Myanmar, and if you can see this little St. Martin's Island, which has strategic implications for both China, Bangladesh, India, and the Americans. Obviously, we'll talk about this. First, we look at what is in U.S. interest. So the Americans obviously want Bangladesh to be the proxy against China, and what has happened globally is this new Cold War which we are seeing between China and America, where the Chinese are fighting for their influence in Africa or in South Asia. We've seen CPAC in Pakistan. Bangladesh is closer, so it's the Bay of Bengal there. The Chinese, the Americans want this Bangladesh to be the proxy. Mind you, it was before Bangladesh came into being. Former East Pakistan was actually used uh, by the Pakistanis in 50s with the Americans to spy on China. So there's been a history of it. So, so the Americans see China as a reluctant partner to contain China. So uh, on May 2023, Victoria Newland in Bangladesh land, which is the under political secretary of state, landed to Bangladesh and had a meeting. The U.S. ambassador to Bangladesh advisor speaking to opposition, invoking democracy and human rights. So the Americans were clearly not happy with Khalda Zia, with Hasina Wajid. And in June, July 2020, St. Martin's Island, the Americans wanted St. Martin's Island, which is this teeny weeny strategic
Island.
location for them. To, for the Bangladeshis rejected it, obviously, and this led to frictions between the Americans and the Bangladeshis. So Americans opted what they do. They started sanctioning uh, uh, Bangladeshi political parties, especially from the Awami League, and put down on pressure on human rights and everything. So perception gaining ground, US sponsored unrest, but obviously it was not. So there's this India, which is so what is happening in Bangladesh is between India, China, and America. Pakistan doesn't come into this, or what we call the Abdullah ki shadi mein begana sort of a thing for Pakistan. But yeah, India is there. So what is in India's interest is to secure stable Bangladesh. Obviously, India has invested huge amounts into Bangladesh. They have a credit line which is $8 billion when Bangladesh needs. This is a credit line, not a loan. Need to understand this. And apparently, but what is happening right now is that Indians Indians invested too much on the Awami League, where the BNP, the Bangladesh National Party, or the Jamaat Islami, India sees them as anti-India, and they see, and vice versa. So India remains isolated when Awami League is off. Um, they're considered more pro-China and pro-Pakistan as such. So India wants a stable Nepal, Bangladesh, Myanmar. Obviously, its neighbors. No, everybody wants its neighbors to be in peace. So India has this interest of having a stable Bangladesh, but where they've gone wrong is they've only relied on people on one political party, not realizing that the majority or the vast majority of Bangladesh is is on the other side, and this has been proven now. Um, so apparently that's a strategic blunder. Jaishankar, the foreign minister, in parliament when briefing the parliament, has actually condemned what has happened in Bangladesh. But that's where they've gone wrong. They should have condemned the students killing as well, and that's what created more frictions between the students and the current setup with India. But Narendra Modi has, congratulated Mohammad Yunus, who's an interim advisor to Bangladesh. China's interest in Bangladesh. China wants a two-ocean strategy. China seeks entry into the Bay of Bengal as part of its two-ocean strategy. Now, what's the two-ocean strategy? You can see the South China Sea, and this is the Bay of Bengal with St. Martin's Island. The Americans are fighting for this. The Chinese wants this island as well. Obviously, whoever gets this island has access to India in a war, so they could block a lot of trade, or could operate aggressive operations from this island. This island, St. Martin's Island, is one of the keys and the reason between India, China, and America. So Chinese influence. There's been high level visits by Xi Jinping, the Chinese premier to Bangladesh in 2016. The defense cooperation, you'd be amazed that, from 2016 to 2020, 17% of Chinese, defense export, 17% had been, to Bangladesh. So Bangladesh became a huge customer for China since 2016. Acquisitions had trainer jets to frigates to mining to submarines and rifles and pistols. So clearly there's a trend where the Bangladeshi military, and I'm not saying political side, I'm saying you need to understand the military side has opted to go towards China, and they favored China because of defense procurement needs of Bangladeshi military. So infrastructure investment, China has invested 1.2 billion in 6 slots submarine base in Cox's Bazar. Military exercises has been there, but mind you, where I've actually said the keep military and the political side uh, not together is that Sheikh Hasina had to cut short her visit to China, and that's what created uh, a ripple effect in the region, and she sided with with India too openly, which the military didn't took well. So if you keep military away from the political side, military has sided traditionally or made a decision where they've opt for pro-China, where the political government has gone for pro-India, and that's what created the difference or gap between the two sides. Pakistan's interest again is no such interest, only apart that Indian influence is reduced in Bangladesh and the Chinese influence grow. So the war is between, if you can see, the Americans, Chinese, and Indians, and Bangladesh has been in the middle of it. What I personally believe is that whatever the reasons, is that the Bangladesh in between has pitched India, China, and America together in their own country for their own selfish reasons, and that backfired. So they've created two sides where the military has gone with the Chinese, and the political side. When I say political, uh, Hasina Wajid has gone with the Indian side, and with the student movement in the middle, the military has opted to side with the students' movement and use it and get rid of Hasina. So yeah, so we'll see in future with Muhammad Yunus there, and the interim government coming out, so there would be a government which would be a more neutral government, which won't be pro-China, would not be pro-China, but would not be anti-India as well, because it's $8 billion in credit line. So Bangladesh has to keep China and India, happy. So it's not bed of roses for the new prime minister or the interim advisor at all. But this is new Bangladesh. Obviously, the old regime has gone, not because of foreign intervention, but because of its own fascist attitude. And that's a lesson for rest of the countries in the region. But Bangladesh, has been a form of, East Pakistan. And as Pakistanis, we wish them, you know, good luck with their country. They've done tremendously well. So this was it. I think the geopolitical angle has to connect to a national political angle for our audience to understand this. I'm not too sure other people have shown you these connections, but this is what the Wire Pakistan English would be doing, is to educate you on these aspects and for you to make up the mind. Our analysis in Bangladesh is that it's an indigenous student movement used by the military for their own requirements, but it's a legitimate movement. For India, I think they have this concerns about Hindus minority. I think they have all the right to safeguard minority Hindus in Bangladesh, but they should be taking care of the Muslims and other minorities in India as well. So I think a lot of lectures by each others, but I think we should all look after our national interest. A national interest in South Asia is to keep a peaceful South Asia, concentrate on economy, and just open all border trade, and that's how South Asia would grow. Thank you, Javed.
This was Ali Chishti, who was sharing his excellence on Bangladesh current scenario. We'll keep you posted on further developments. Thank you very much for the watch. Thanks.
Say